Well, good afternoon, everybody, and congratulations to the class of 2016, and congratulations to all the faculty and everyone at the university, and to all your family and friends who have stood with you every step of the way to get you to this day. But in researching for this afternoon, there was one problem I was struggling with, and that's, what do I call you now that you've graduated from this great institution? Are you all penmen, which I believe is what the sports team here are called? Well, perhaps, but with respect, I would say that title plays to the college's proud history rather than to its great future. So what do we call you? Well, fortunately, the challenge was solved for me yesterday afternoon by the taxi driver who brought me in from the airport, because he said that you're all snoopers now. And apparently, President LeBlanc, according to my taxi driver, now you've brought the naming rights to this place, it will be known forevermore as the Snooper Dome. So, perhaps now in some great rhetorical flourish I should pronounce that you're all snoopers now, so you've all got to go out there and snoop. But if we're creating a new word, we better define it as well. And I believe that snoop means to pioneer, to lead, because on the platform around me and on the hall in front of me, I see a room stuffed full of leaders and pioneers. And that's what I want to talk about today. In other words, I want to talk about all of you. And that brings me on to the two reasons why I'm so very happy to be with you here today, other than the obvious one, of course. A man of my age doesn't often get the chance to dress up like this in public. But first, as you may be able to tell from my accent, I actually come from Manchester, England, and so it's fun to be in Manchester, New Hampshire for the first time. Now, my Manchester in the north of England is what you might call an acquired taste, like, to be honest, most English cuisine. I love my home city dearly, but on first impression it can seem a bit grimy and gritty and grey. These days we're probably best known for our football or our soccer teams, but a closer look tells, I think, a more interesting story, because my Manchester was the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. It was where Rolls met Royce. It was where Marx met Engels. It spawned both free trade and trade unionism, and it gave birth to the suffragettes who demanded and eventually won the right to vote for women. It was where Alan Turing, perhaps known to some of you as the guy played by Benedict Cumberbatch in the movie The Imitation Game, went to build the first modern-day computer. And at its pioneering peak, it was said that what Manchester does today, the world does tomorrow. And that brings me to the second reason that I'm so pleased to be here with you today, for I believe that you are all in the process of making this Manchester, here in New Hampshire, the birthplace of an education revolution. I believe that what SNHU is doing today, other universities around the world will do tomorrow. The vast majority of colleges are still offering an education designed a long time ago to meet the challenges of the last century. The challenges of this century are different, but all too many colleges, you know, are finding it hard to respond. Many of them are still telling students what they have available, and students have the choice of taking it or leading it. But this university is a pioneer. It doesn't decide for you what you're going to get, it asks you what you need. And based on your answer, you and your university are together redesigning higher education. You're keeping the best parts of the old model, but you're experimenting with promising new approaches and technologies. You're finding creative ways to meet the challenges of this century and the challenges you all face in your day-to-day lives. You're pioneers and leaders because you were the ones who said, wait, I have eyes. I see a way to connect my education to my career path. I can be interested in earning money and in indulging my curiosity, in enriching my knowledge, in learning more about the world around me. And you're the ones who said, wait, why do I have to sit in a specific room, in a specific building for a specific amount of time? I have the guts to use new tools to learn in more convenient and dynamic ways. And by the way, I'll finish when I'm actually finished, not when the clock runs out. And you're the ones who said, wait, I don't have to go into debt for the rest of my life to get an excellent education. I can afford to take care of my responsibilities now and train my mind for the future. So I call you pioneers because what you're doing is daring and new. But it's more than that. You're not off on an island being different all by yourselves. The world is starting to pay attention and starting to follow your example. So you are pioneers and you are leaders too. You are leading us to a new future in which a high-quality education is affordable, convenient, and relevant. And it's a world in which it is more personal too. As Jessica said so eloquently, not every student learns in the same way. And we need to bring learning to people, not people to learning. A school, a university, is not ultimately a building. It's a place where people learn. And in this future, many, many more people will have degrees that lead to good jobs, and the world will be fairer and more prosperous as a result. So when I reflect on what you've accomplished, I find myself wondering, what makes you pioneers? What makes you leaders? What do you have inside you that drove you not just to come back to get another degree, but to do it in a new way? And what is it about this university that makes it willing to try something that its peer institutions find so much harder to do? These aren't just idle questions. As Paul said, I run a company called Pearson, and we're an education company facing the same changes that SNHU and all of you have faced so successfully. And my job is to create a pioneering leadership culture at Pearson, because that's how we will help more people learn and succeed. And as part of that work, I've been lucky enough to spend some time with President LeBlanc over the past year or so, and we share some common experiences. I know that we both look back at the sometimes hard lives that our mothers led, and we look forward to, with joy and pride, to the great opportunities that lie ahead for our daughters. And we know that the difference from our mother's generation to our daughters, and like all parents, we feel this personally, is the transforming power of education. So I admire Paul as a leader, and I like to think that we ask the same kinds of questions. What should we value at the institutions we run? For what purpose do we strive? What outcomes do we really seek? Who are the students we want to serve and the employees we want to recruit? Well, guess what? The answer is right in front of me. It's pioneers like all of you, leaders who have the eyes to see, the guts to act on what they see, and the minds to make their actions count. Eyes, guts, and mind. First, eyes. Less than 3 months before he was assassinated, Robert Kennedy gave a famous speech in which he quoted the Irish writer George Bernard Shaw. Some things see things as they are and say why. I dream things that never were and say, why not? I love the quote. I remember it featured in a very popular poster you saw all over campus when I was a student. But by the way, I felt the need then, And I feel it even more now to amend the quote to say some men and some women. But more recently, I've come to realize that, seeing things as they are and asking why is in itself an extraordinary achievement, and one that most people will never master. Why do over 50 million elementary-age children in the world today still not get to go to school at all? Why do 1% of Americans have 42% of the country's wealth? Why do women still earn 79 cents for every dollar men earn? And why is college so expensive? And why does it provide an education that's only sometimes relevant? It takes eyes to ask these kind of questions that lead society forward. Second, guts. Guts that won't let you stop at seeing, but force you to do something about it. Maybe you quit a decent job to go back to school because you knew you could get better paying and more satisfying work in the end. Maybe you kept on working that decent job while you got your graduate degree, even though it meant less time for everything and everybody else. And maybe you knew that some people might judge you for getting an online degree, but you did it anyway because you knew it was a better way for you and a better way for your family. Third, mind. I'm talking about the mind that turns what's in your gut into a concrete plan of action. I'm a big proponent of practicality. There's an expectation that commencement speeches like this are supposed to be up in the clouds to encourage you to think grandiose thoughts about your future and this rite of passage. And I want to encourage you, I absolutely do. You have dreams, you've already achieved many of them, and I know that you'll keep on dreaming and you'll keep on achieving. But you also have jobs you're going to show up for tomorrow, and your families have immediate goals that you want to help them reach right now. And so it's important to understand that there is nothing mutually exclusive about thinking big thoughts whilst also being practical and specific about how to make those things matter in real life. Dreams that stay dreams don't change anything. You have to know how to make them come true. The poet T.S. Eliot wrote, "Between the idea and the reality, between the motion and the act, falls the shadow. Your minds help you find your way through those shadows." Eyes, guts, mind are a useful way of thinking about what makes us human. And the stronger your eyes, your guts, and your mind are, the more joy you'll be able to find in the human condition. The more you'll excel in your career, the more you'll find fulfillment in your relationships, the more you'll affect your community and the world around you so that it does do tomorrow what you're doing today. So, class of 2016, I wish you great luck, but far more importantly, I wish you to remember what got you this far. And so, I wish you sharp eyes to see the world as it is and as it should be. I wish you strong guts to act on what you see. And I wish you a fertile mind to make your actions count. So congratulations, keep on snooping, keep on pioneering, and keep on leading. Thank you and good luck.